So welcome, Miss Cammy. How you doing,
You're
girl?
welcome. I am great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, for those that don't know, I want to breathe for just a minute. You know, it is the end of May.
Yeah.
You know, this season, this last couple of weeks have been really daunting with weather and all the things in life. But what we're going to do today, we're going to take a minute just to breathe. Can you give a quick grounding, Vicki? A little 30-second breath before we get into this wonderful conversation.
Okay. So let's start with this. Just take a deep, just up,
Oh,
arms
oh,
up,
okay, let's do that.
and just take a deep breath in. Let it out, and just stretch. Just do a good stretch. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Take a deep breath in, out. There you go.
here we go.
Yeah.
Breathing air is
Yeah.
life. Thank you, Lord. So, Miss Camela, so you have a new book that has just come out called Quiet Power. The Get Back is Grace.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about quiet. What is quiet power? The Get Back is Grace.
Okay. Quiet Power, The Get Back is Grace, subtitle How I Led, Mothered, and Healed Through the Loudest Divorce in Town. I know that's a long title, but it was very intentional. Quiet Power, so through my divorce, through God's grace, I quietly healed through the divorce quietly. I always say my dad is very quiet,
Yeah.
and so with growing up and just seeing his quiet personality, his quietness, I think that's where I got that from.
Oh, really?
Yes, and so I did not discuss my divorce like through social media, online. I did not. I wasn't revengeful. I didn't want to go out and seek revenge,
Yeah.
which is why we have the Get Back is Grace. But I also I I went to God. I went to God first to just one reveal what it is He wanted me to show, what He wanted me to see, and then I leaned on Him and my village, my support team. That is my very close friends, my mother, my sister, my children, and my again my close family members, and so the quiet part, I was able to get through my healing journey quietly, but it was also I came out victorious.
Yeah.
You know, I was still able, and I talk about in the book, just coming out without not a hair on my body. You know, was burned. It was singed. None of that because I was still able to rely on God, to trust God, to keep faith in God in order for me to get to where I am today. And again, and that is with leading a school. As I was a principal during the time, I was also an assistant principal. It was during COVID. And so during COVID, we know that, you know, everybody was inside. And during the time, my ex husband and I, as we were going through the divorce, we were living in the same household. And so, as you know, that can be difficult, you know, with living in the same household with someone who we aren't seeing eye to eye. And so God really just covered me, protected me, and just sustained me in that season to get me out on the other side. And yeah, and so that's quiet power. Let's see. I'm from Austin. And so when I say the loudest divorce in
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
we prior to airing today, we were talking about just living in Austin and being in Austin. And so because it's a very small African American community, everyone knows everyone. And so when it comes to things that you're going through, whether it's, you know, great things or whether it's a challenge or again a divorce, some kind of tragedy, people are gonna know. People are gonna know, and it's gonna be the talk of the town. It's gonna be shared. So many when I was going through my divorce. There were things that I would hear, there were rumors that I would hear. And so it was very, very important for me to just keep my eyes focused on God and keep my faith in God and stay in the Word, stay in the scriptures, keep praying, and just really just cancel all the noise around me so that I can, again, just be focused on God and just getting me over to the other side. And again, that is with healing.
So when you talk about like focusing on God, what specifically like did you have to go through like for your routine? Because sometimes it's we can be dealing with things and we are I don't know what to do. I don't know how to
Right.
how did you get that strength? And where did that come from for you to be able to be disciplined enough to do that?
That's so good. So, I this when I was married, I knew something was it was in 2020. I knew something was just wasn't right. And we had problems before, and it was times that I would pray about it, and I would say, God, show me this, show me that, and He would show me. And I still kept going back, putting my hands on it and trying to fix it. And every time trying to fix it and trying to recover it. And, we're married. Let's stick this out. We have children together. And so in 2020, I took a different approach. And that was thinking about Psalms 46 and 10, be still and know that I am God. And I prayed and I said, God, if something is not right, I know I can feel it, my discernment. I can feel it in my intuition, because women, we have that intuition.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I said, God, reveal it. And whatever it is, I'm going to do what you want me to do. I'm not happy. You know what I'm going through. Please bring peace and joy back into my life. And I just left it into His hands. And that very next day, He revealed not one thing, but He just showed me just so many things. And in my prayer, though, I was very intentional. And this is when I started learning about just how to be more intentional with prayer and being very specific. I attend Thoy, the House of Intercession, with Pastor White, and Lady Kendra White is our First Lady. And so they really talk to me about being intentional. And within that prayer, I said, okay, God, reveal it. And again, I know that you're going to protect me. And I know you're going to continue to provide for me, whatever it is, and show me. And just, Lord, just please just walk with me. And like I said, He did the very next day. And I knew it was Him. And so I could not do anything but be obedient and follow and follow. And again, we just talked about right before coming on, where God, you know, he doesn't want us to divorce, but there are some things where you may have to divorce someone, because of some things. And so, yeah, so I just said, you know what, that's God. And so after that, I started journaling. I got really deep into journaling. That was one thing at the time one of my counselors told me to do, start journaling. And then, and also with my pastor and pastor's wife, get in your word, Cammie.
Yep.
You need to start praying. I started doing like Bible study with my kids. I also, again, just getting in the scripture and then just reading devotions every day. I read a devotional every single day. And again, just studying that word, living in that word, reading the word, and just relying on Him. And so, yeah.
I I love that because it's interesting that we can go to church and we can be in the community, but the relationship with Christ, when we start focusing on that, and when you were being intentional about the prayer life and saying, Lord, these are the things, and when I'm looking at you now, like there's this peace that surpasses all understanding. Like God gives you grace and peace when you really put it in His hands, and when you get to a point when you've surrendered and been obedient. So I am just sitting here looking at, wow, God bless you for just taking that in and then taking those steps. And I
Yeah.
know it wasn't easy.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, people think coming to Christ is just
Oh gosh.
He's going to solve all my problems. Everything's
Yeah.
going to be no.
Yeah.
But what He does do is He gives you peace and hope, and He will speak to you and reveal the things to you that you need.
Yes, yes, and I'm super grateful. My mom, and I always say this publicly, I always say I'm very grateful for my mom for introducing my sister and I to Christ. And my mom made us go to church every Sunday. We had to get up. My mom, she listens. She every Sunday we would get up in the morning. She would blast her music on the radio, gospel, and my sister and I would just be like, "Oh my goodness! Like, turn that down. Is it time to go? Like, let us sleep in." But I am so grateful that my mom didn't allow us to sleep in, and I know some people when just growing up, some parents they feel like, oh, I'm not gonna force my kids to go to church. I'm not gonna make them go to church. Well, I will tell you, like with my mom forcing my sister and I to go to church, I forced my kids to go to church. But now it's not a force. My kids want to go to church. My kids take their Bibles to church. They sit there and take notes in church. And so again, just I'm super grateful for my mother for introducing my sister and I to Christ because that's our foundation. That is what has created me to become the woman I am today.
Amen. And so those were all seeds that were being dropped
Yeah,
all along,
yeah,
even though sometimes we don't realize what we're getting.
that's right.
Amen. Yeah. You
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. You
Well,
guys,
I appreciate it.
that part, that part. All these choices these kids have these days. We'll save that for another topic. So,
Amen.
you were talking about it was intentional to name the book this way. Where did that come from?
Um, the name of the book. So, okay, again, the quiet power. Again, just me being quiet and handling my divorce gracefully. The give back is grace. So we know, y'all, when somebody is mean to you, somebody betrays you, somebody hurts you, especially as somebody that is supposed to be a lifetime commitment. What do you always want to do? What do you want to
You
do?
want to
What's the
give back,
you want to
and
get
give back.
back? You want revenge.
Yeah.
You want to you want to do all the things.
Yeah.
Today, Lady White, she spoke at a church today, and she was talking about in her message, busted, like her previous life, busting the windows out somebody's car. I don't know if she ever did it, but anyway, you want to bust the windows out somebody's car. You want to beat them up. You want to do, and I will tell you, to be just very transparent. My flesh many a times was weakened. It was shaken. It was tested, and I have done some things. I have done some things that I'm not proud of, but and so with that surrendering to God, that give back is grace. I had to surrender. I had to put that in God's hands and say, I'm gonna step back from it, and it's all you. It's all you, God. Like you take care of it, and I know you got me. Again, the how I led. I was the assistant principal and also a principal at a for the very first time in my life with and so that's that part. And the mothering. I have three beautiful children. Alan Jr. is 20. Addison
Wait, he's
is
20?
he's 20.
What?
Alan is
Alan's
20.
20?
Alan is 20. He attends Texas State. He just finished his sophomore year at Texas State.
Oh my gosh.
He is 20.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes. I have to show you some pictures after the show.
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
yeah,
please. I digress.
But Alan is 20. Addison, my oldest daughter, is 15. She is entering her sophomore year in high school, and then little Avery will be 7 this coming week. This coming
wow.
week, and so and she'll be entering second grade. But three beautiful children. That's the mothering part because we know that mothering through a divorce is difficult, but it can be done. It can be done. And again, healing through the loudest divorce in town. It's Austin.
Yeah.
We are in Austin, and there it was a lot. But again, I was able to cancel the noise, and I talk a lot about this. I tell a lot of women when you are living in Austin or a small town, wherever it is, like cancel the noise, and sometimes that means ending some relationships, putting some relationships to rest that are no longer serving you.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is if you have some girls, if you got some friends, some people that you think are close to you, even some family members,
Yeah.
that's tough. But if they are calling you about negative stuff, drama, if they're just it's gossip all the time, there might be some people you need to put an end to.
Yeah.
Social media. I tell people all the time, get off of social media. If you are going through the things, because again, that's when the flesh will come and get in
Yes.
your head, and the next thing you'll be doing is driving in your car.
Yes. Calling your girl gay.
Yeah, are you
Yeah,
ready? Let's
yeah.
go. Yeah. So that part, that whole part about just, the loudest divorce in town, you have to cancel the noise. Any noise that does not serve you, any noise that's not positive, like just get rid of it. Get rid of it, because it's not gonna help you
Yeah.
in this season.
It's not.
Well,
It's
people
not.
fall
It's
off.
not.
I mean, because anytime, especially when you're right, the loud when it's loud, and you get quiet and get still,
Yeah.
and you stay focused, there are people that will fall off.
Right.
Especially, and people don't think, that when you go through, I don't say tragedy, challenges or whatever, however you want to phrase it, if you stay focused on God, you're going to grow. And in that growth, there's some people that are going to naturally fall away from you because they don't know
The new you.
what they don't know the you you're becoming,
Yeah.
and then you end up they don't align. We
Yeah.
talked about that a little bit
Alignment.
earlier, but
That's right.
alignment
That's right.
or equally yoked. How you taught about it, but I always thought when I was growing up, equally yoked me. Okay, they go to church, I go to church.
I
Oh,
did too.
yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Yes.
not. It means more than that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It's aligned would be probably a better word, because am I aligned with you in this area, this area, this area? Can I agree with you? We may have different ways that we do things, but can we come into an agreement with how things are done?
Yeah.
People are going to watch your growth, and they're going to not understand it, especially when you get quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that quiet piece is also getting quiet so that you can hear God's voice.
Absolutely.
Being able to hear Him and just know, God, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right track. Like being able to hear Him, because when it's loud, when it's noisy, you cannot hear His voice, and you got to be ready to hear His voice.
Absolutely.
And I tell everybody this. I say, you know what? Like when you pray that prayer, because in this season of my life now too, I pray a prayer constantly. Lord, please remove anybody, anything that is not aligned to the purpose and the plan that you have for my life, even if it's hurtful, no matter how painful it can be, because I've already been through the pain. And so it's like, God, you know what? Like, if it's painful, like, take me through it, because you have already done it before and you'll do it again, and He'll keep doing it again. So it's just remove anybody or anything that should not have access to me. And because I know you're going to take care of me. I know you're going to cover me. You're going to protect me. You're going to guide me. And I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. And for many people, silence is not deafening. It's they can't deal with the silence. It's uncomfortable for some people. I remember being in a conversation with people and then it gets quiet. People are like, we gotta make some noise.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's in the still
yeah.
when you're with your thoughts, when God can speak to you.
That's
when,
right.
And sometimes you need to be quiet for a season.
That's right.
Because He may not just speak that first day, the second day, the first month. Because He's also allowing you. Do you really trust Him? Do you really trust me?
Right, right.
But it's also in conversation. I mean, even there are times when I guess just I call it back or breathe and be quiet, but you're just processing what's going on or what you're listening to or what you're hearing from another person, or even when you're hearing from God, especially. But can I address the things the way God would want me to address it? And if I don't get quiet, then I'm not going to hear that. And we are so quick. We have to move fast, and that's not necessary in a conversation. You just have to be still so that you can hear.
Yeah. And for those that may say, I've never heard God's voice, I don't know what He sounds like as you read His Word. See, people, when you read the Word, you will get to know Him and He will get to know
Right.
you.
That's right.
And I think sometimes we pray, but are we reading? I need to know God. It's in His Word.
That's right.
That's how you get to know God. Not just go to church, absolutely, But read your word and develop your own relationship.
Right, right,
Read your word and apply it to
Oh,
your
and
life
well,
outside of church.
right,
well,
right.
that part too.
Your daily walk,
In
yeah.
your daily walk. So I was looking at this and thinking, 2022 was the divorce. It's 2026.
That's right.
Why now?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so um, during my divorce and after my divorce, I came into a lot of different encounters with different women, and women who knew the story of my ex-husband and I. They would come to me and say, you know what, like, how did you get through that? Like, hey, I'm so inspired by, you don't even look like you've been through what you've been through. Like, how did you get through it? How did you have enough strength to get through it? And I mean, y'all, I would see people at football games, basketball games, the grocery store. Just, they would stop me, and I was like, well, let me tell you. And some of these women, um, had already, they were going through a heartbreak currently, and so they were not asking to be nosy or to whatever, but they were really asking because they needed that support, they needed that advice. And there were some women who had already come out of that season, but they were still carrying some anger, some bitterness. And so every time, like, I would just stop and I would just have conversations. I remember one time I went to the store. I told my kids I'll be back, and I went to the store, and I was gone for like an hour and a half. I was going to pick up just a couple of things, and they were calling me, "Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you?" But again, I was in the store ministering to someone who, and at that time, I wanted to talk to her and just really inspire her and encourage her. You know what? I know you're feeling like this right now, but it's gonna get better later. It's gonna get better. And so I gave her some tools. In my book, I have a healing toolkit that I leave women with at the end of the book, or whoever reads the book. Um, and I was telling her, when's the last time you've been to church? Get in your word and start praying, and um, you know, get some exercise, get some sunlight. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Be selfish for a little while. Take care of yourself before you take care of, the emotional needs of other people. Um, and so there were women who would just come to me and ask me. And so that is the why now. That's the why now. Um, and so after I decided, I was like, I went to God in prayer, and I was like, okay, God, why do I keep coming into, these encounters with different women? And so, again, being still, being quiet, canceling the noise, God said, book, book. I kept hearing book, and I was like, no, you can't be telling me to write a book, like, I'm a quiet person, and yes, at the time, again, I was a principal, and so I'm a, community figure, but I was just like, I don't want to put my personal business out there. And also, like, I don't want my kids, I'm just thinking about everybody else around me because that's what I've always done. Um, and so I prayed about it, and I just kept praying and asking God, like, is this what you want me to do? And again, the same way I asked God to reveal what was happening in my marriage and to cover me and protect me, He revealed that following week, like, and gave me confirmation, you need to write this book. And He did it. I was at work. There was I was in a group meeting with I was in a training, and this lady that I met, we were having conversation, and the question came up, what's something that you haven't done yet and you need to do? And she said, oh, I wrote a book, but I haven't published it. And I was like, God, stop, God. Like, I'm not writing a book. And then, yeah, and then it was scriptures that I had read, and then also my pastor. Y'all, this is when it really, I was like, I just wanted to leave church this day in the middle of the sermon. But he preached a message, and it was about, he told everyone, like, it's time to be a ready writer. Pick up a pen and start writing for 4 months. And by December, you will deliver this baby. So this is a thing. I had not told my pastor yet that I had wrote a book. So I had already wrote the book. It was just still sitting in my computer. And so once he said that, and he said, you're going to deliver, and deliver this baby that needs to be delivered. And so at that time, I was just like, okay, God, I get it. I will be obedient. I will be obedient. I hear what you're saying. And so then it wasn't until like 2 months later in February, I reached out to an editor who was referred to me by someone, and we started and we got going. And I tell everyone, I was like, you know what? Writing the book wasn't necessary. It wasn't really even hard to do because I went back and got my journals from 2020 that I had been writing. And so God was already preparing me for 2026. And I didn't even know that in 2020. And so, and it still gives me chills because, sometimes when God has you doing certain things, you don't even know what it is. But fast forward to now, it's like, and so let me jump back. In 2024, um, my little one Avery, she was just having the hardest time of me being a principal because being a principal, you work a lot of hours. It's 24/7, 24/8. I tell everybody. And I was getting up like at 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting to work, so I wouldn't see my kids in the morning. I would get home late, still work on the computer, and my little Avery would call me every morning on FaceTime, and she was just like, Mom, like you work too much. You always gone. You always. And so that whole year, I was praying to God too. And I was like, God, do you want me to be here? Do you want me to still be a principal? Do you still want me? And I was just praying the whole year. But anyway, at the end of the year, I decided to step out on faith and start a business, a consulting business. And during that time, I also started writing the book. I was writing the book. And so I wrote the book. And again, I was holding on to it still. And so, yeah, the last year when after my pastor preached that message, I was like, okay, I hear you, God, I hear you. I'm gonna be obedient, and I know you got me.
Yeah.
I know you got me, and you'll protect me, and
Yeah.
it'll be okay.
We all tend to do that little Jonah thing,
We
try to
do,
run around
yeah,
and
yeah.
end up in that
Yeah,
building.
because again, I was nervous about releasing the book. I
Yeah.
was nervous about what would come to it. But I also was very prepared because, again, if God said, girl, do it, then He's got me and I know He's going to cover me and it's all good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, what was the most difficult chapter to write?
Ooh. Oh, goodness. Y'all, let's see. Um, I think, gosh, let me see. What was the most difficult? I will tell you, with writing it, it brought back a lot of pain. It brought back a lot of pain. And so there were many times that I would write the book. I would write. And then, and during this time too, during as I was writing, I was listening to all my praise and worship music. And so going back, looking in my journals, I wrote a lot of praise and worship music that was covering and sustaining me during that season of my divorce. Because in the morning and all throughout the day, I'm just listening to praise and worship. I wrote down this music and I wrote down songs of the praise and worship music. So um, as I was writing all the time, I was still listening to those songs, and I will say probably the most difficult one was probably God Sent the Girls, which is what I'm wearing today.
Okay.
And that's the G, God Sent the Girls, GSTG. But God Sent the Girls, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends, y'all. And I'm a Delta.
Oh my gosh.
You forgot?
I did forget my forget. Lord have mercy.
And so I have my sisters, my sisterhood with Delta. I have my line sisters. It's 8 of us total. I have my neighborhood girls. They're the Glen girls. I have another group called the Originals because we've grown up together. I have the True Blues, so I have the crew. It's just y'all. We named the group, so I have a lot of girls, and so I think the most difficult chat where I was very emotional was God Sent the Girls because as a leader of a school, it's hard to get away and do things with your friends. It's hard to get away and just that work balance it can be difficult. And so the balance of that. And so a lot of times I would tell my friends, hey, Kami, let's go here, let's go there, let's go there, let's go on this trip, let's do this, let's do that. I can't, y'all. I got, we got testing coming up. I can't do it. Y'all, let's go here, let's do it. Y'all, I can't, the kids have this going on. I can't do that. And then, first day of school is coming up and I gotta get all this stuff ready, this, that. And so I did. It was a lot of no's, a lot of no's, no's, no's. And so I really, and many times I cut off my social life just to mother, to be a wife, and to lead a school. And so I will say, with writing God Sent the Girls, just reflecting on how my girls were there for me. And I tell you, like I always say, they love me back to life, or they love me down, because anytime that I just needed them, hey, I just want to talk to you today. I just want to vent. Okay, go ahead, Cammie. If my girls in the neighborhood, I need to go for a walk, y'all. Let's. Where you want to meet at? We meet by the pool. We're gonna meet where you want to. Let's go. And or if I'm taking a trip to Houston with my girls in Houston, whatever it was, they were there for me, and they never questioned. They never said, like, girl, every time we called you and want to go here, no, you didn't ever, want to go these places with us. But they had me in this season, and they have me now. We celebrate each other, and I'm super grateful that I have the village of the girls, because I can call on them, I can count on them, and vice versa, and so I think it was when I wrote that letter to them in the book. And it just makes me think of just how powerful it is for women to get together and to unite, and to just empower each other and to celebrate each other. And we're living in a world today where it's so easy for women to put each other down, and so just the fact that I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful for my circle. Super grateful. I love the girls. I love my girls. And just again, just I think that was the hardest chapter to write. Yeah. And then I write some letters to my children also in the book. And I think so as I wrote those letters, like, I was just, tears were just flowing, flowing, flowing when I would write those letters. Yeah.
Have the kids haven't read the book yet?
My oldest daughter, Addie, she started reading. She was like, okay, mom, I'm gonna have to come back to it because this is long, which is not, it's an easy read, y'all. Like, it really takes you about an hour and a half if you just get through with it. My son hasn't read it. Now, little Avery, she was like, I want to read the book. I want to read, I want to read the book. She said something funny the other day, but I said, oh, girl, we got to have a conversation. We were in the kitchen, me, her, and Addie, and she was showing me some of her writing, some of her journals, from, because it's the end of the school year, so her journal came home, and we were going through it, and she was like, she said, Mom, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a mom and I'm gonna be a teacher. And I said, wonderful. And I said, okay, well, what about a wife? Because if you're a mom, what about a wife? And she said, yeah. I'm gonna be a wife. She said, and you know what? I am going to go through a lot like you went through and then write a book. And I said, oh, goodness, honey. Girl, what do you mean by that? And she said, and, and if he tries to divorce me, then I'm going to divorce him first. And I was just like, oh, we are going to have a sit down conversation
Yeah.
and clean that up because she's funny, but yeah, so she hadn't read the book yet. She probably doesn't need to read the book yet. She probably doesn't need to read it, but yeah. So, but I did talk to my kids before the book came out. Yeah, I talked to my kids, and my son, when I told him the title, the very first thing he said was, Mom, so is this a book to bash my dad? And I said, son, absolutely not. I would never bash your dad. I would never do that, and my kids know that. And he was like, okay. So then Alan Jr., he got comfortable, with it after that, and he's been by my side. I say, okay, he's my little assistant. He's my helper. He helps me with the inventory of the books. And so, but yeah, he asked me that originally, and I was like, son, I would never do that. I would never, like, I love y'all too much. Like, I wouldn't bash your dad. And that's something that even to this day, we were talking about this before, is that my ex-husband and I, we co-parent very well. And it's always been, I write in the book about boundaries, but I talk about keeping the main thing on the main thing, and that's the children. And I really feel strongly that if we do that as co-parents, everything will go very well because it's for the kids. I want my kids to be successful. I was blessed to be able to be in education. I've been in education for 21 years, but just seeing how kids come to school sometimes and they come from a home that and I don't call it broken, but a home of where parents got divorced. I and they come with some of the things, the hurt, some of the trauma, and they don't have a good day at school.
Yeah.
They spent their whole day in the office with me because they're sad. They're hurt by the fights that they've seen their parents have, the night before. They can't even, or they need a nap
Right.
because mom and dad has been fighting all night long, and they know too much. They know way too much. So something my ex-husband and I had always said that, we would always focus, regardless of what happened between us, we would always co-parent, and we would always just make sure that we were a team for our children. And I know that my children have been successful because of that. Again, that takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of communication, effective communication as well. But yeah,
I have to say, I'm one of the old heads.
yeah,
I didn't know y'all were divorced.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and which says you guys do co-parent so very well.
Thank you.
Very well, and it's commendable, and relationships change, and
They do.
They do.
They do.
but seeing the mom and the dad being intentional about making it
Right.
work,
Right.
that's great for the children to see too.
Right. Right. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all are doing a good job.
And it's something my dad, he used to say this when my sister and I were younger, and he reminded me of this. He read the book a few weeks ago, and he called me to give me his feedback on the book. And he enjoyed it, but he was just saying how I'm just trying to get through it because, I keep on tearing up throughout the book. And so he said, Cammy, just remember, as I've always said, that if the marriage didn't work, and he wasn't talking about my situation, but him and my mom, but the marriage didn't work, but the family did. And I was like, yeah, you know what? He reminded me of that. And I think that, after you get through the heartbreak, after you get through the hurt, you go through healing, like that is what it is, and it's about our kids and our kids being successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So,
And I can forgive you and still, again, co-parent with you and move
Yeah,
on, because
yeah.
you cannot take bitterness and anger into the next season, because God has something greater for
does.
you.
Well, even if you don't, because we didn't do co-parenting.
Yeah.
Number one, my ex-husband was in the military. That's part of it. But I will say, even with struggles of not being able to co-parent for whatever reason, if you're focused
on the main thing.
on the main
yes.
thing, then you can walk out of a situation without being bitter and angry.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And it makes life so much,
I am a living witness. I've had
amen.
two. And I say, and I don't say it from bragging perspective.
Right.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
bragging.
Yeah.
It's a gratefulness
It's
thing.
It is. It
absolutely
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very grateful, and still can be friendly, still can be, and the kids are mine, even though I didn't birth them.
Right.
They're
Right.
my kids. I got grandkids now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I look at Romans 8:28,
All
where we know
things.
all things work together for good for
That's
those who love the
right.
Lord and are called according to His purpose.
That's right.
So beautiful. So what do you look for your kids to get from this experience that you're modeling for them?
Oh, that's good. That's good. For my children, and I say this all the time, they are going to go through heartbreak. They're going to go through challenges. They're going to struggle with things. And what I pray and what I hope for them to do is I hope for them to see and to know to count on God. And that's the very first thing I want them to always do. Go to God. Go to God. But then also, come to me, come to their dad or whomever that they feel that they can talk to.
Yeah.
Don't feel like they're alone. Whether they do it quietly, however they heal, but you don't have to feel like you're alone. But then also, I believe in therapy. I believe in counseling. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
something after I healed, during my healing, I had already put my kids in counseling. I had already signed them up because, again, just knowing and, again, just being grateful for being an educator, I already knew let me get my kids into counseling, because if I know that I needed it, I knew they were going to be hurt, and so I want them to still use, I would like for them to use the tools that I have shared with them, and I want them to see. And again, I didn't always model everything perfectly, but to see, the strength, and to see the resilience that I have. And then also just to see, that and I'm big on this about, respecting both parents. And again, I also say this because my oldest daughter, she is my girl. She is my girl. Avery's my girl too, and my son is but Addie is she is the girl who feels like she also has to really protect her mama. And so I have to redirect her sometimes and just say, hey, girl, reach out to your counselor about that. Reach out to, your counselor, or, talk to your dad about that. If you have those questions, I have to, but also remind her, to be respectful too. Because, they want to protect us, girls. And my son, he's a protector also, but the Addie, she is sassy, but she's also very vocal.
Okay.
She's very vocal, and so not all the time, that what she says may not always come out very respectful. So I have to just say, like, you know what, right idea, but your approach is wrong. So I like what you're saying. I mean, I understand what you were saying. I'm listening to what you're saying, but you may want to give it approach in a different way, and just kind of tone it down a bit and make sure you're respectful.
It's as you were going through this. Do you think your educator training, along with your faith, kind of helped you navigate this piece? Because I'm listening to it, I'm watching you, and I feel like I'm in this professor classroom type of thing where it is. Even though I know it's very emotional and all the things, but you were able to pull from your faith and also from your training,
Right.
kind of helping to compartmentalize and look at it from a rational, thoughtful perspective.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Let me tell y'all about this. So God, again, He's so intentional, and we know that,
Yes,
so intentional about all the things, but and He has a sense of humor.
funny though.
But I was a principal at Presidential Meadows Elementary in Manor, and again, so intentional that my pastor and his wife live right there in that community. And so as I again, the first years of being a principal, I didn't have a leadership team at the time, y'all. Everything that was going wrong could go wrong. I started the year off with COVID, and so I was actually leading from a bedroom, the upstairs bedroom, my son's bedroom, and then my oldest daughter had COVID, my little girl had COVID, and so like we're upstairs, I'm leading from a computer and leading a school. And again, this is a school that was my first time as the leader, and so again, building a leadership team, reestablishing just instructional practices. And so when I came back in person, again, there was just so many things. A lot of times I was up at the school until 12 o'clock.
Wow.
And God is so intentional. My mom moved into the same neighborhood. And so there were days like if I'm up at the school at midnight, she's bringing me something to eat. Cammy, you need to leave from the school, Mama. I am, but I gotta, my Kendra, my first lady, she would text me, Cammy, what are you still doing at that school? What are you? So I always had eyes, and I always had people there that were like angels that were just watching after me, and also just, making sure that I was good. There was this one morning, there was a situation that happened at the school, and this one morning I was just like I was just broken down. I was like, oh my goodness, stuff is happening at home. It's chaotic, but then also being at the school, it's just like, I don't feel like I have any control. And I was just praying and asking God, like, God, is this what you wanted me to do? Like, but then I was like, why am I questioning Him? Because I know that He wasn't going to put me in that space and leave me. And so I called Pastor White and Lady White, and I asked them, like, can y'all please come over here and pray with me? Can y'all please come over? And they came over there like 6 o'clock in the morning, y'all, a.m., and it's dark outside. And I always tell people it was funny because Pastor White, he came over there with his like hoodie on, and he was like, he was looking very scary. It was dark, and so he came over there and we prayed, and they went through the school together and anointed the school with oil, and I will tell you just the school year, it just got better. I was able to establish a leadership team, just get those systems in place, and we had a very successful school year throughout that year. And so, just again, knowing that God was just there at all times, like though things like that helped me to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having that's one of my good girls, Miss
Yes.
Kendra. having covering with the pastor and the wife who just are available to you. God really is intentional how He
Yes.
does stuff, and you look back and go, "Wow, look, how did you?" Okay, God.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
God.
And to be at that school
Yes.
with them in the neighborhood, and again, my mom in the neighborhood,
Yeah. It's
and
like,
yeah,
yeah. People say that's like coincidence, but
It's an orchestration.
that's it. That's right.
ooh, Vicki.
Yes, ma'am.
Vicki always drops those little nuggets.
Yeah.
Orchestra. Yes.
Absolutely.
He is a conductor.
Absolutely.
Yes. See, I'm getting. Oh, we're almost out of time, but I want to make sure. I want to make sure that I get a couple. You know what? So, people have gone through divorce, and you were very intentional about being more reflective and not, pointing the fingers. How would you help a woman who may be saying, I can't get there. My get back.
It's
I
gonna be
don't
real.
want no grace. I want to get back. I want to clap back.
Yeah. I actually put that in there about not clapping back.
Did you?
I put in the book about yeah, don't clap back. But finish your question.
So,
Okay.
because, when we're in our you were able to get your emotions in a state to not operate from the emotion. And sometimes we can be in our emotions, get on Facebook, say stuff, do things, and we can't get it back. How how do you regulate that, and what can we do to help another woman who may need to
Regulate those
Regulate.
emotions. Yeah.
Regulate
that emotion?
That's a good question. I am gonna first start with, of course, prayer. But get your people, get your girls. If and my sister, my sister is really good. I have a cousin, Roshan.
Oh,
Yeah,
cousin.
yes. And so I have and so my mom too, but I have a internal
Yeah.
circle, and I I know that if I need somebody who is going to check me, then I'm going to call the people who need to check me. I'm not going to call my, I have some other friends who may be like, "Oh, girl, what you want? What you want to do? What you want to do?" And I'm like, "No, we're not going to do that." I end up having to give them
Right.
some counseling when I call them. But anyway, Roshan and my mom and my sister, they're gonna always check me, put me in my place, and also just be very, very. They're gonna think deep about it, and they're gonna also say, okay, Cammie, think about this. Think about this. If you were to do that, then how would your kids feel? If you do that, think about how could that affect your career. If you do this, then what do you think is going to and so they just put a lot of things in perspective for me. So what I will say is and I have two best friends that also are really good about one of my best friends is an attorney, and she's really good too about, and sometimes again during that season I always think back. I know if I call her and I'm like, "Girl, da 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 da," she's just gonna be like, "Camela, now stop it, and this is what we're gonna do." And so I already know they're gonna check me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, find your people who's going to check you and put you
Mm-hmm.
in place.
Yeah.
And that is what I would say. That is how I would also, again, and my sister in love, Denise. Denise is also going to check me too, and she's really good about listening. You know, she's a listener, and she's real calm about. Okay, now Cammy, you know, we got her. Cammy, very calm. And so get those people in your life that are going to check you, hold you accountable, and also let you know when you're wrong. And sometimes that's hard to hear. Let you know when you're wrong, or also make you do what's right. Okay. I would say those are the biggest pieces. But also log off of social media. Get
Yeah.
off of it. Get off of it. Again, cancel the noise. And prune everything that does not belong. Yeah, prune it.
You have to rip that band-aid off because sometimes you want to kind of want to nurse
Pulling
Right.
it and
tendons.
everything.
Right. Right.
I'm not really no rip it off.
Rip it off.
Yeah.
And you got to go through pruning seasons of, you know, whatever doesn't belong, whatever is still keeping you with that. You know, get rid of it. Get rid of them. Let them.
Let them. Yeah.
Let them.
What you said, Miss Therapist over here.
Oh my gosh.
Let them and let go. And let go. And
Well, I
just,
mean, if you're
Yes.
connected, you know, it's like, and I equated, just talked about it to somebody, but it's a root system. It's like the tree. You got a tree that's planted, right?
yeah.
But what happens what happens to the leaves when it's cold or during a certain time of the season? They fall.
Yeah.
So it's like shaking the tree. But it's not me shaking the tree, it's God shaking that tree. It's letting God do the work around you.
Ooh.
Because
Yeah.
community is really important. And if you're around I was going to say the word wrong. If you're around an unhealthy community, you're going to do some unhealthy stuff.
Ooh. So good.
And
Yeah.
recognize what's best for you. Recognize what God is saying to you, not what everybody else is saying to you, right?
Yeah.
Because Madeline and I are two different people, but we connect.
We do.
Well, I don't know how. It's a God thing.
It
It really
really
is.
is a
'Cause she's
God.
very extroverted, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a very introverted person. And it took me a while to understand. I love saying it. Solitude is one of my best friends. It really is. And recognizing who you are and what God and who God has created you to be, and
Yeah.
not what God has created another person to be. Because I think once you recognize that, then it's okay to understand
Yeah.
why things fall off and not be bitter and angry and judgmental and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
When you were talking, excuse me, you were talking about the tree and shaking the leaves. What was coming to me is in that season, those are falling off, they're dead. But you're still rooted in the
Absolutely.
ground. And come
Absolutely.
spring, new leaves, new
Yeah.
life.
And that's the craziness of
Amen.
it. That new life piece,
New life,
every
yes.
It
single,
is.
what was it, New Mercies? Yeah. And the verse that, would generally sometimes come to me is God, and I'm paraphrasing it, but I'm going to do a new thing, can't you see it? Because we miss that so often trying to hold on
To
to
the
what,
old.
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Because it's comfortable.
It's
It's
comfortable.
comfortable.
That's right. And you're
It's
afraid.
easy.
You're
Right.
afraid
Yeah.
to move into the next
And,
season.
we don't want to acknowledge that fear.
Yeah.
Acknowledging all the, God gave us emotions for a reason. Acknowledging the emotions that we're feeling, process it, and understand what's the emotion about. I may not tell you why I'm angry. I might not tell you why I'm in this regretful place. I may not say anything to anybody else, but I have to process those feelings and understand if I want to grow, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why am I feeling this?
That's good you say that, because going back to your question too about what else I would tell a woman, and that is to live in your reality and just being
Amen.
vulnerable.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, and it's hard to be vulnerable, but in order to be vulnerable, again, you got to find that trusting circle that you can
Absolutely.
connect with. You know, people who are not going to judge you, and to be able to just again live in that reality, because as long as you're not living it, if you don't live in that reality and speak the truth of what's actually happening, you will not come out of that season.
Because you're living in a fantasy.
You living in a fantasy. The other thing, the last thing I would say is to date you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I like that.
Date you.
That's a good thing.
Because after you you've been with someone for a very long time, and you've been in this season of, you know, just trying to heal. Um, People are always evolving. You're always changing. We talked about that. But find out who you are again.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who you are again. Find out what you like. Find
Absolutely.
out who you like.
Yeah.
Find out who you like.
Mm-hmm.
When in this season of my life, my counselor is Dr. Calvin Kelly, and I was very intentional about wanting to have a man counselor in this season. But then, and when I first went to Dr. Kelly, he asked me the question of, who is Cammy? Who's Camela? And so as he's asking that, I'm like, gosh, who is she? And I'm thinking about that, and I had to go home and do some homework and come back and tell him exactly who Cammy was. But sometimes it's hard to know who you are when you've been
Everything to
Everybody
everybody.
else.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I was doing. I'm at school fixing this, doing this with, my parents, with my students. And I love being a principal. I love, love, love being a principal. Um, but many times, just with always giving and putting your energy into everyone else, you can lose who you are. And being a mother, and I love being a mother, but there are times that, again, I'm gonna go back to being selfish, and I talk about this in the book about, being on an airplane, how they tell you to put your mask on yourself first
Mm-hmm.
before you give to the person who's seated next to you. And I had to do that in this season. I knew I was very intentional and strategic about, let me first heal myself. Let me put the mask on myself first, because I knew I didn't have enough in me to try to work on me and my kids at the same time. And so I was like, let me get myself together first so that I'm strong enough to be with my kids and help them emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Quiet power, y'all. Quiet power. Let's hold that book up so they can see. Joanne, let's get in on the book so people can see. Quiet Power is available now. And tell them how they can get this book, Miss Cammy.
Yes, so you can order this book directly from me. I have a website. It is www.iamcamela.org. So you can go to my website and order it directly from me. I can mail it to you. If you are local, I can come out and meet you somewhere. If you prefer for me to come and meet you in person, but you can order an autograph copy through me, or you can go on Amazon and order the book, or Barnes and Nobles. It will also soon be in some independent libraries as well, so stay tuned for that information as well.
Wow, wonderful
That's good news.
conversation. I am so
Absolutely.
excited for this to come out.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Thank you for joining us today,
Thank
just
you.
sharing.
Thank you.
And congratulations for
Thank
just
you.
stepping out on faith and being obedient.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
You know
you.
how we
And I
do.
appreciate y'all having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Listen, guys, we'll be back again next week. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Yeah.
I'm Lady Madelyn Patterson, faith-led, purpose-driven voice, empowering with Miss Vicki Merriwether. We will see you all next time.
Ooh, sitting all alone, looking out the window, where the walls come tumbling down. That's where I'm happy with me, reflecting on who I am and all I can become. I still have many flaws, but I'm not where I used to be. I am happy with